April 21st, 2018. I'd like to tell the story of the first time and the second time that I can remember hearing Jesus speak to me. The first time, I am maybe 22 years old, and I was in Denver, Colorado. I was at a youth conference, and one night at the service, the preacher preached about a spider who lived in the king's palace. That was the message. That's all I remember about it, but it was awesome. And after the message, I went down to the front like I often do, and especially that time in my life, and I knelt down at the altar by myself, and I was praying to the Lord. And at this time of my life, God was giving me songs, and it was after my initial dream, wherein God imparted to me that ability. And I'm kneeling there praying, and then it happened. Like it was slightly behind me on my left side. And by the way, for as long as I can remember, even to today, when God speaks to me, it's, I don't want to say always, but maybe once it doesn't, but I'll just say always, God speaks to me in my left ear. That might be weird, but, where's that in the Bible? I don't know. But he speaks to me in my left ear. And so this is the first time, and I was kneeling there, and here's what the Lord said. First time I ever heard his voice. I could hear him, not audibly, but it was like it was audibly. And he said, I want you to go home. After you go home, I want you to pick a day. Any day. That doesn't matter. But on that day that you pick, when that day comes, leave and go to West Virginia and help your Uncle Alan in his church. Period. That's what he said. I was like, what just happened? I was like, whoa. Because I heard it. And I was shaken and I was weeping. And I stayed there for 5 minutes or so and reflecting. And then I got up and I went to the fellowship area and I sat down and I got something to eat and, something to drink. And I sat there by myself for about 20 minutes or so. And I just thought about what just happened. So then I came home. And then a week or so later, a couple weeks, I don't know, I went in and told the pastor that what was going on. And I remember telling Elder David, I said, he was like the assistant pastor. And in the middle of my conversation and my story, he said, well, I take it from the fact that you're telling me and not asking me. It means there's nothing I can really say about this. And you're not really asking my advice. And I thought to myself, oh man, I don't mean to be rude and, but then I thought, well, yeah, I'm not really asking. But I'm telling you what I'm doing. because I'm doing it, you know. So that day came, and I got in my Audi Fox, and I headed east and stayed with my grandma and grandpa, Jiggs and Pauline in Morgantown, West Virginia. And I began to help my uncle in his church. So I was there for a few days, a week or two, and now I need to get a job, and because I'm probably going to be here a while, and so my dad called me, and my dad said, Phil, I was talking to Walt Wileman. Walt Wileman was a high-up executive, and he was out of Dallas, but it was a nationwide finance company called the Associates. They gave car loans, home equity loans, personal loans. Had offices everywhere, and Walt was like the man. So Walt asked me what's going on, because he was in South Bend visiting his family. Dad mentions I'm in West Virginia, and Walt basically says, we got an office in Morgantown. Phil's looking for a job. Tell him to put a suit and tie on and get in there. I will call him and let him know that Phil's coming, and when he gets there, fill out an application, and he will have a job immediately. And my dad tells, I'm like, sweet. So a couple days later, I get up, I get my suit and tie on, and get my Audi Fox, and off I go to the Associates in the morning. It was awesome. Man, I am going to be sitting good. So, on my way to the Associates, the second time, Jesus spoke to me again. And I'm driving down the road, and again, my left side, here's what he said. Go to the hospital now and wait. Like that was it. And I'm like, so I recognized the same thing, same voice, same deal. That's the Lord. And I said, well, Lord, right now I'm going to go to the Associates. I'm going to, fill out the application, and I said, and then I'll go to the hospital. And the Lord said to me the second time, go to the hospital now and wait. So I did. I figured, well, I'll go to the Associates later. And so I get to the hospital, big hospital, General Hospital, Morgantown, West Virginia, right by the university, right by the football field. I walk in, the big, you walk in the main doors, big open atrium area, and off to the right is the help desk. And people walking, coming and going, and walking around, and lots of chairs over to the left. I walk in about 20 feet, and then so now I'm just standing there. So go to the hospital and wait. So I'm standing there, and about 5 minutes later, I felt a little weird. About 5 minutes later, the lady behind the help desk saw me. We made eye contact, and she said, can I help you? Do you need anything? And I kind of said back to her, she was like 30 feet away or whatever. I said, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm just waiting. Oh, she says, okay. So another 5 minutes goes by, and around the corner, about, 50, 60 feet away, big open room, coming down steps or something around the corner, and it's Alan. It's the pastor that I'm there to help. And he sees me, I see him, he has got a big smile on his face, he walks over, Phil, what are you doing? And I said, I know this is going to sound weird, but I was Driving down the road, I just felt like God wanted me to come to the hospital. Well, what are you doing? I don't know. I felt really embarrassed. Oh, and about that time, around the same corner, walks a man, and Alan turned and saw him, and they greet each other. They didn't know each other was there, like long-lost brothers. They're hugging. Oh, brother. Well, come to find out, this was another pastor in another town. His name was Joe West. And, blah, 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 blah. Let's go over here and talk. So, come with us, Phil. So we go over and sit down in chairs in the corner of the big room. And they're talking and I'm the odd man out. I'm just sitting there, and God comes down, and we were all crying in the corner, talking about God and how good He is. I forget the conversation. Well, come to find out, Joe West had a Christian school. Alan had about 5 kids that he would love to send to his Christian school, but didn't have any transportation. Joe West says he's got a small bus that doesn't need a special license, and said, I can pay, but not a lot. So I became the bus driver. I'll pick up the kids, take them to school, work in the school, take the kids home, and come home. That's going to be my job. And I'm not going to make much money, but it's enough. And God's like, this is what I want you to do. Unbelievable. So that was it. I became a school bus driver / school assistant person. And I was there for about a year and a half. And I was there a little before the school year was coming. The school year then was over in the spring, summer. I stayed for another month or so. And then life is all about seasons. Time was up. And so it was time to go back home. So I went back home to South Bend. So that's my little story about the first and second time I heard Jesus talk to me.